Reflection, listen up. Outsmarting someone isn't about tricks or cruelty. It's about clarity, discipline, and a willingness to own the moment. If you want to dominate in life, business, relationships, flexion, whatever arena you choose, you must be sharper than the situation, calmer than the opposition, and kinder than your ambition requires. Dominance starts in the mind. It's built on preparation, flexion, silence, and action. Not noise, not flexing, action. You step into the room and you take inventory. Who's talking loud but saying little? Who's quiet and dangerous? Observe, reflection. The first advantage belongs to the one who sees more than they reveal. You gather facts. You listen when others rush to speak. You learn names and motives and patterns, not to judge, flexion, but to predict. Rule 1, know the terrain. You can't win a war if you don't know the map. Read the room. Read the charts. Read the people. Intelligence is the currency of power. Flexion. The man who knows the landscape, the deadlines, the egos, the incentives is already halfway to victory. Rule 2, control your weather. Anger is showy, calm is deadly. Reflection. When everyone else is storming, be the harbor. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's strategy. Breathe. But let the other side reveal itself while you remain steady. Reflection. People make mistakes when they react. You win when you respond. Rule 3, think 3 moves ahead. Chess masters don't react, they anticipate. You must forecast the outcomes of your choices. Flexion. Decide which battles are worth your energy and which are bait. Make decisions like you're investing. Margin of safety. Compounding advantage, telescoping time. Move strategically, flexion, not impulsively. Rule 4, turn your weaknesses into mystery. Underpromise, overdeliver. Let others underestimate you, then surprise them with excellence. Humility is armor, flexion. When you surprise people, you don't just win the moment, you remake their expectations of you. Rule 5, finish like a professional. Dominance doesn't end with the win, reflection. It ends with the exit. Leave with dignity. Close the deal with clarity. Tie the knot. Call it done. Celebrate privately if you must, loudly only when it serves you. Reflection. A clean finish makes your previous moves look intentional, not lucky. Now I want you to imagine this. You walk into a meeting, a negotiation, a date, a sparring match, whatever your arena. Reflection. You are prepared. You are patient. You know enough to act and wise enough to wait. You listen so well that when you speak, your words rearrange the room. That is dominance, not ladness. Reflection. Not bluster, precision. Here's how you practice it daily. Get up earlier than they think you do. Study while they scroll. Practice silence like it's a weapon. Use it to get information. Reflection. To let tension breathe, to force the other person into motion. Build rituals, preparation rituals that make you unfazed by chaos when it arrives. Let me be clear. Reflection, dominance without ethics is just tyranny. Outsmarting someone must never be about breaking people. It's about thinking them out, preparing them, outlasting them. Run with integrity, reflection, execute with courage. So go ahead, learn the rules, live them, repeat them until instinct becomes muscle. Be bold, be disciplined, and when the moment arrives, reflection. Move with the calm confidence of a person who has done the work. Now stand up, speak less, do more. Win clean. If you want to outsmart anyone, reflection. The first move is to understand the battlefield before you ever draw your sword. Too many people rush into conversations, arguments, negotiations, reflection, and opportunities with emotion instead of awareness. They want to be heard, but they haven't even taken a moment to see what's really happening. Flexion. You must become the kind of person who studies everything. The room, the tone, the energy, the motivations, the insecurities, the hidden agendas, the history behind the moment. Reflection. And even the silence that other people overlook. When you enter a room, your first job is not to dominate it with your voice. Your first job is to decode it with your eyes and your mind. Flexion. Watch how people move, who they listen to, who they ignore, who they fear, who they mock, who they respect. Observe who speaks with confidence and who speaks for attention. Reflection. Notice who interrupts and who waits patiently. Learn what triggers people, what persuades them, and what they're secretly trying to protect. Reflection. You must read facial expressions the way a detective reads evidence, and you must listen between the lines because most people will reveal more in their pauses than in their words. Reflection. When you gather information before you take action, you create an invisible advantage. Because while others react to what's happening on the surface, you respond to the truth underneath. Flexion. And the one who sees more always controls more. Outsmarting anyone doesn't begin with brilliance or aggression. It begins with awareness. Reflection. True power belongs to the person who pays attention. Control of emotion is the highest form of intelligence. And if you want to outsmart anyone, you must first learn to outsmart your own reactions. Flexion. Every situation, every confrontation, every test of patience is a silent invitation for you to lose control. Because once you do, you hand over your power. Flexion. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest, the calm one is. When you can keep your voice steady while someone else is shouting. Reflection. When you can hold your posture while others tremble with anger. When you can still think clearly in the middle of chaos, that's when you truly dominate. Reflection. Emotional control is not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about mastering how and when to express it. You can be furious and still be silent. Reflection. You can be disappointed and still be composed. You can be provoked and still choose peace. That kind of restraint makes people uncomfortable because they can't read you. Reflection. They can't predict what you'll do next. You become a mystery, and mystery is power. People expect explosions. They don't know how to deal with composure. When you refuse to react. Reflection. You force others to reveal themselves. They show their weakness, their insecurities, their impatience. And while they're unraveling, you're calculating. You are thinking, planning, deciding. Reflection. You're not suppressing your emotions. You're weaponizing them. Every pause becomes a move. Every breath becomes a moment of strategy. When you master your emotions. Reflection. You no longer move on impulse. You move with precision. The person who controls their inner world will always control the outer one, because nothing and no one, reflection, can manipulate a calm mind to outsmart anyone. You must learn to think in moves, not moments. Reflection. Most people only react to what is right in front of them. They get blinded by the present and forget that every decision creates a chain reaction. But the strategist, the thinker, reflection, the one who dominates any arena, sees beyond the immediate emotion and looks at the long-term consequence. You must train your mind to anticipate, not just respond. Before you speak, reflection, calculate how your words will echo. Before you act, imagine where that action will position you tomorrow, next week, next year. Never play for applause in the moment. Reflection, play for advantage in the future. When someone tries to provoke you, don't think, how do I win this second? Think, how do I win the situation? When someone challenges you, reflection, don't rush to prove them wrong just to feed your ego. Study the board, measure the angles, and make a move that sets you up for 3 victories, not 1. Life is a psychological chess match. Reflection. And the one who stays 3 moves ahead never fears the current position, no matter how messy it looks. While others are busy reacting, defending, explaining, and justifying, you are positioning. Reflection, preparing, and predicting. You must learn patience, because impulsive people lose to thinkers every time. Planning ahead doesn't make you slow. It makes you unshakable. Reflection. When you walk into any situation with foresight, you aren't nervous, you aren't threatened, and you aren't desperate, because you already know your exits, your advantages, your leverage. Reflection, and your alternatives. This level of foresight makes you dangerous in silence and undefeatable in execution. Reflection. Outsmarting people is never about being quicker in the moment. It's about being smarter before the moment even arrives. Confidence is not something you announce. It is something you carry. Reflection. And when you learn to walk with quiet certainty instead of loud validation, you immediately gain a psychological advantage over everyone around you. Most people speak just to prove they matter. Reflection. To prove they know something, to prove they belong. But the one who is truly confident does not rush to be understood, approved, or applauded. When you speak only with purpose. Reflection. Every word lands heavier, every sentence is weight, and people lean in when you open your mouth, because they know you don't talk just to fill space. And when you choose silence. Reflection. That silence becomes pressure for the other person, because human beings fear what they cannot read. Quiet confidence forces others to reveal themselves first. They start talking to fill the gap. Reflection. To explain, to justify, to overshare. Meanwhile, you watch, you learn, you gather information, becomes fuel for your next move. Reflection. Quiet confidence also removes desperation from your presence. You aren't trying to impress anyone. You aren't trying to prove yourself, and you aren't trying to win attention. Reflection. That makes you unshakable, because the person who needs nothing cannot be manipulated. People lose battles not because they are weak, but because they are needy. They need to be right. Reflection. They need to be praised. They need to be seen. But when you operate from a place of inner certainty, validation becomes irrelevant, and that makes you mentally unbeatable. Reflection. And here's the real psychological power. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. And what people imagine is always more intimidating than what they can see. When you carry calm confidence. Reflection. You don't chase opportunities. They come to you. You don't demand respect. You quietly command it. You don't have to raise your voice, because your presence has already spoken. Reflection. One of the most underestimated strategies in outsmarting people is letting them believe they have you figured out, when in reality, they're only seeing the surface of who you are. Reflection. When others underestimate you, they relax, they slip, they reveal more, and they never prepare for your full capability. Reflection. You must understand that not every strength should be advertised, and not every skill should be showcased. Keep your power tucked behind discipline and humility. Reflection. Let people think you're quieter than you are, slower than you are, less knowledgeable than you are, because their miscalculation becomes your leverage. While they're busy assuming, reflection, you're busy preparing. While they're comfortable, you're sharpening. And when the moment comes, you deliver results so sharp, so precise, so undeniable that they are left stunned, flexion, speechless and off balance. Underpromising and over-delivering is not about modesty. It is a psychological tactic. When you exceed expectations, you don't just win, reflection. You reshape the way people see you. You control their narrative of you. You decide when to reveal and when to conceal. Never let anyone read you like an open book. Be a locked vault. Reflection. Give people just enough to keep them guessing, but never enough to predict your next move. Move in silence, work in silence, improve in silence, because silence builds unpredictability. Reflection. And unpredictability is fear. When someone can't measure you, they can't strategize against you. When they don't know your limits, they don't know how to stop you. Flexion. The moment you stop trying to prove yourself is the moment they start watching you more closely, wondering who you really are and what you're really capable of. Reflection. And that curiosity, mixed with confusion and respect, becomes a weapon in your hands. If you want to outsmart everyone around you, reflection. It won't be through random bursts of effort or occasional strokes of brilliance. It will be through disciplined routines that sharpen your mind, strengthen your character, reflection, and condition your emotions day after day. Great thinkers, great strategists, great leaders are not built in moments of pressure. They are built in the quiet hours when no one is watching. Reflection. Your habits become your hidden weapons. Every book you read, every skill you refine, every journal entry you write, every workout you complete, reflection, every hour you dedicate to mastering your craft. These routines stack up silently until one day they form an intelligence and resilience that no opponent can match. Reflection. While others are slaves to distraction, you must become loyal to focus. While they wake up reacting to life, you wake up creating direction. While they scroll, you study. While they complain, reflection, you improve. These small, consistent habits create an internal momentum, and momentum is a form of dominance. Because once you get ahead in discipline, you get ahead in everything. Reflection, and here's the truth most people never realize: that success is not about talent, it's about preparation. Confidence is not about ego, it's about repetition. And intelligence is not a gift, reflection. It's a routine. When your daily habits sharpen your mind, steady your emotions, and strengthen your body, you walk into every room with an advantage you don't have to announce. Flexion. You become harder to intimidate, harder to manipulate, and harder to defeat. People who do not practice daily discipline are forced to survive on motivation, reflection. But motivation fades, rituals don't. If you build habits that feed your mind, fuel your ambition, and focus your spirit, reflection, you will not only outsmart the people around you, you will eventually outgrow them. To outsmart anyone, you must understand that the real power is not always in the terms of a discussion, a deal, flexion, or a conflict. It's in the frame that defines it. Most people rush to argue, negotiate, reflection, or defend their position without realizing that the person who sets the context is already winning before a single word is spoken. You must learn to guide how others see the situation, reflection, not just how they respond to it. When you control the frame, you control the rules. And when you control the rules, you control the outcome. If someone approaches you with aggression, reflection, don't step in the frame of conflict. Shift it to calm logic where you have the upper hand. If someone tries to belittle you, reflection, don't fight for their approval. Reframe the moment so their words lose value and you stand unbothered. In business, don't argue over price. Reframe the conversation to focus on value, flexion, necessity, or urgency. In personal relationships, don't react to accusations. Reframe the situation to the root cause and watch the emotional fire lose oxygen. Reflection. People lose arguments because they fight inside the frame someone else created. People lose negotiations because they accept the first definition of the problem instead of redefining it. Reflection. Outsmarting others means you don't get dragged into emotional traps or mental corners. You rewrite the battlefield before the battle begins. Speak in a way that guides perception. Flexion. Ask questions that force others to think in your direction. Redirect conversations to the terrain where your strengths dominate. When you do this, you don't need to overpower anyone. Reflection. You make them walk into conclusions that serve you. The smartest person in the room is not the one with the loudest voice or the longest speech. Reflection. But the one who quietly shifts the perspective and makes everyone else start playing their game without even realizing it. Flexion. Dominance isn't just about winning the moment. It's about ending the moment in a way that leaves no confusion, no loose ends, and no openings for future challenges. When you move, reflection, you must move with clarity. And when you finish, you must finish with certainty. Too many people sabotage their own victories because they don't know how to close. Reflection, they win the argument but lose the respect. They win the deal but damage the relationship. They defeat the opponent but create three more in the process. Reflection, outsmarting someone isn't about destruction, it's about resolution. When you come to the finish, be decisive. Say what needs to be said, lock in the agreement, secure the boundary. Reflection, deliver the result, and then step back with discipline. Don't gloat, don't linger, don't over-explain. Make your final words sharp and minimal, and your final actions unmistakable. Reflection, so there's no room for misinterpretation. Leave people with clarity, not chaos. Leave situations tied, not tangled. And above all, leave with your character intact. Reflection, there is a special kind of psychological dominance in winning clean, because when you walk away with integrity, nothing can be used against you. Reflection, a person who wins but burns everything down is replaceable. A person who wins and leaves the bridge standing becomes unforgettable. And when you handle endings with precision, reflection, people remember your composure more than your conquest. They begin to trust your leadership. They begin to fear disappointing you. They begin to respect your presence. Endings create reputation, reflection, and reputation creates influence. So when the moment comes to close the chapter, don't drag it, don't repeat yourself, don't wave your victory in the air. Deliver your final move, reflection, place your signature on the outcome, and walk away with the calm certainty of someone who doesn't need applause to validate a win. Now, reflection. Listen carefully because this is where it all comes together. Outsmarting anyone, dominating any situation isn't about noise, anger, or arrogance. It's about preparation, patience, reflection, strategy, and self-mastery. It's about showing up sharper than the moment, calmer than the chaos, and smarter than the opposition. The rules we've talked about, the awareness, reflection, the emotional control, the foresight, the quiet confidence, the surprise, the disciplined habits, the framing, and the decisive finish aren't just tactics, they are a way of life. Reflection. When you live like this, every room you enter, every conversation you have, every challenge you face becomes your arena. People will underestimate you, try to provoke you. Reflection, test your limits, but you will move with the precision of someone who has done the work, who is prepared, who has mastered themselves. And in that mastery, you will find freedom. Reflection. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from distraction. Walk into your life with that awareness. Own your actions. Control your mind. Execute your moves with calm certainty. Reflection. Outsmart with strategy, dominate with discipline, and leave a legacy in every room you touch. Step forward now, not with arrogance, but with power, purpose, and unshakable confidence. Flexion. The world respects those who are prepared. The world yields to those who are patient. And the world never forgets those who win clean. Think clearly and move decisively. Flexion, this is your moment. Own it.